Good morning again. Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing another video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and I want to discuss free will briefly in a few minutes. I'm seeing a lot of videos refuting the idea online. There have kind of always been objections and rebuttals to the idea. People saying, well, it looks plain to me that there is no free will, when they're talking about the day they learned that there's no free will. I want to respond to this because there are a couple of ideas here. There's two ways to look at this, and I can prove that I understand the rebuttal. First of all, the rebuttal is that the future has already happened. That's kind of what it boils down to. In terms of science and quantum physics, it's not entirely wrong, but there is a problem with the assertion that free will does not exist. Hear me out. So there is something called an event horizon, and it can be a hypothetical one, it can be an actual one in our physical universe. An event horizon is a boundary between an internal system and an external system, a parent system, if you will. It's called a nested situation where you have perhaps an internal process that is subject to or subordinate to, dependent on a parent process, but there's a boundary, an event boundary, a time-space boundary between the two systems. So inside the innermost system, which may also contain its own inner systems, you have perhaps people or agents, you can call them agents, making decisions. And making a decision is exercising agency. That is to say, free will, your choice. And the argument against free will goes, well, if it's already determined, if it is deterministic, that is, then I'm not really making a choice. It's already happened. They can, just as in computer science, you have virtual machines that you can pause, you can take a snapshot of, you can reboot, you can replay. Just as in that kind of situation, you can replay it from the start and everything unfolds exactly how it would have, does not mean that you have no choice. So hear me out. Here's the explanation. I understand the rebuttal. Just because no matter what, it would have happened the same way, doesn't mean from within that event horizon, you do not have agency. It happens to depend on the location of the observer. Now, this is the part that nobody seems to understand. If you are referring to yourself or someone within the same event horizon as yourself, you absolutely 100% have agency, respectful to those people, relative to your event horizon, your current environment. Because as far as you can tell, as far as you know, your outcome is undecided, is non-deterministic, relative to you. It's a relativity thing. However, looking at a nested system, looking into an inner system that is dependent on a parent system, you're in the parent system now, looking into an event horizon where there's something going on that can be paused, snapshotted, replayed with the exact same predictable output, then it becomes deterministic if the observer is outside the event horizon relative to the subject in question. So it's a relativity thing. It absolutely is. So if you're outside an event horizon looking in, it's deterministic and there is no agency as far as practical arguments go, as far as practical, you already know what's going to happen potentially, and it makes no difference what they choose inside that system. However, if you're inside that system yourself, all bets are off. This is how it works. So it's both. Okay, so the answer in a nutshell, in summary, is systems, universes, event horizons, they are both deterministic and non-deterministic depending on the location of the observer relative to the subject. Okay, that's the final conclusion, and that is the actual answer. I don't need to be proved wrong because I'm quite sure of this. So reach out if you like with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.